Hey guys, PA rifle season is dwindling down here. We got 2 days left. I just want to take some time to show you guys my European mountains and the display I made for them, and then talk about each buck and then the hunting story behind them. It's kind of special to me, and I like sharing my experiences with other people. So here's my display. The wood I got from a pallet. I just stained it. And then the moss I got from Walmart, and then the styrofoam block underneath I also got from Walmart just to fill up the base a little bit. That's my first buck I ever shot back in 2015. That's a buck I shot last year in rifle season. You can check that video out on my channel. And also, this is the buck I shot in archery this year, which I also have a video on my channel of that. The wood I got out in the woods, I just cut a piece of log off. The leaves I got with lights, I think from Dollar Tree. What I want to do here is I'm going to pull each individual one off, tell you about the hunt and my experience. So stay tuned. Alright, so we got all the heads down here on my European mounts. Now we're going to talk about each individual one and the story behind it. So, as you can see, I'm down here in the basement because if you have wife and kids and dogs, you know, things get kind of hectic, especially for filming. So, sorry about the mess behind me. But we're going to talk about my first buck, the 2015 buck. So the 2015 buck, I'm going to give you the backstory behind it because 2015 was kind of hectic for me. On July 24th, 2015, I was 23. My father passed away unexpectedly. He had a heart attack, and when that happened and I found that out, I thought my world ended, you know. If anyone out there knows or been through that, you know how it feels, and it was not good. You know, I didn't even think I was gonna ever hunt again. I was gonna give it up because, you know, I hunted with him. Him and my grandfather were my hunting buddies, and I didn't know if I would have the desire to ever do it again. So, fast forward 3 months to October 10th, 2015. I ended up marrying the love of my life, the girls of my dreams, my wife, and it was special. I mean, it was heartbreaking but special because my dad wasn't there, but very memorable. Love the woman to death, and the reason why I'm saying this stuff is because my wife was actually a part of this buck. So fast forward to December 5th, I was overlooking a field. It was in the teens, I believe, that day, and I hear something behind me. I look back, and on this old logging road, I saw this buck standing there, and it was almost like picture perfect. He's standing there, he's breathing out his mouth. You can see the steam coming out of his nose from it being so cold out. So I had my father's 25-06 that he hunted with, and I spun around. I had a shooting stick on the 25-06 because, as you can see, you know, or have a hand issue, cerebral palsy. Anyway, so I spun around. I got him up in the scope, aimed right behind the shoulder, pulled the trigger. He trotted off a little bit. As he's trotting off, he ejected the bullet, put another one in, and he stopped by a tree, and his tail's flickering, and I shot again. Then he just kind of walks off. So at this point, I'm upset with myself. I'm like, man, I missed. This was going to be my first buck ever. It was a nice buck, you know. I'm going through my head what I did wrong. I mean, I put it right on him. He should have went down, you know. And so I sat there for half an hour, and I contemplated on just leaving because, you know, I was for sure thought I missed him and everything. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go check for blood and make sure that I missed. So I go over where I shot him the first time. I didn't see anything. Went over where I shot him the second time. Didn't see anything. And I was like, well, I'll just walk in the direction that I saw he walked down in, and see if I can see him, you know. So I'm walking, probably 80 yards from where I shot him, and I heard like rustling and like crashing and stuff. I'm like, what the heck was that? Maybe I did get him. Maybe he fell over, you know. Well, then about like 50 yards from me, I saw a flock of turkeys on the ground. I was like, it was the turkeys, you know. At this point, I was discouraged. I thought for sure I missed them. So I was going to turn around and just head back to the car. And something told me not to turn around and just keep going a little further. So I did. And not even 20 yards from where the turkeys were, I started walking. I see this body and this rack sticking up. I was like, oh my God. I actually got my first buck. And I walked up to him, and I instantly called my wife. And I was like, hey, you're not going to believe this. I shot a buck. She goes, nuh-uh. I was like, yes, it's a nice one. I was like, can you come here and help me drag it out? She goes, yeah. And it was kind of an emotional day for me because, it was, like I said, it was my first buck, and my dad wasn't there to witness it. I know he might have been there spiritually, but what was memorable for me the most is I shot it with his gun. So after that, I retired the gun. But this is his rack here. Very nice, respectable PA buck, especially for your first buck. 8-point, obviously, as you can see. I think he may be my biggest. I don't know. We're gonna find out. I got for my other buck that I shot this year. But yeah, at this time in my life, like I said, I was 23. I wasn't really videoing for YouTube. I mean, I was a little bit, but I didn't have anything with me this day because, like I said, I was kind of an emotional wreck at that time, and I wish I had it on video, but I got some pictures. So maybe next time. So that's buck number one. That's my first buck. So last year, 2013, I only had a buck tag. Didn't have a doe tag. So I kind of was thinking I'm not going to shoot a buck. I was expecting to get nothing, honestly, because I don't know about you. If you don't have any private land or anything, trying to find a buck in Pennsylvania without being too much under hunting pressure is kind of hard to come by. But it was 2023, and I think it was on Tuesday. I don't know what the date was, but I was hunting with my brother-in-law and niece out by his house. Well, so I went out there early in the morning, met up with them. They went on top of the hill to overlook a field, and I just stayed down below them, looking down in the valley. So the morning hunt, it was like 28 degrees. It was very cold, snow on the ground, windy. The morning I didn't really see a whole lot. I seen a couple does, but nothing I could shoot at because, like I said, I had a buck tag. So then we went out to lunch around 11-12. Came back for evening hunt, and it was sitting in the same spot down the valley. She was up over the hill. She actually shot two different deer, and then unfortunately missed both ones. And then it was right before dark. I saw this deer come up through the valley, and it was looking at me, and then oops. So this next buck I'm going to talk about is my 2023 PA buck. So in 2023, I only had a buck tag, no doe tags. So it was a Tuesday. I think it was December, I want to say 3rd. It was 28 degrees. Went up hunting with my brother-in-law and my niece. And the morning hunt, it was cold and windy. Didn't see a whole lot. Saw a couple of does, but like I said, I couldn't shoot any because I didn't have a doe tag. My niece missed one. And then around 11, 12, we got together, went out for lunch, came back, and then went back out. Was overlooking this valley, and then we were up overlooking the field, and she ended up missing another doe. And right before dark, I had this deer coming up through the valley. It's walking the bottom, and it turned and started walking up the hill towards me, and I was like, okay. So I thought it was a doe. I was going to record it, but I didn't. I ended up pulling up my gun and realized it was a buck. And so I'm holding up the scope, and he's looking towards me, and he happened to turn his head just ever so slightly, and I could see he had 3 points on one side, and I was like, alright, I'm going to take him if I can get a shot. I'm like, I know he's not big, he's tiny, but, you know, I only have a buck tag, and I'm trying to put me in the freezer. So he was quartering to me pretty hard. Then he went to turn to lick himself on the shoulder. I had a front shoulder shot, so I shot. He turned around, ran across the creek, and at this point he was dragging his right leg, front right leg, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I got him, I might have wounded him. Ran down, ran behind a tree and laid down. I could see him, he's laying there, and you know, he's panting, and his eyes are kind of shutting. So I tried taking another crack at him. He gets up, starts coming down. I took another crack at him, and then he disappears. My brother-in-law texts me, he goes, should I come down? I was like, yeah, but just take your time, try to be quiet because I don't know if I got him. So we met up. At this point, it's dark. I was using my 6.5 Cream on American Ruger, the one I've been using the past couple of years. So we went across the creek, didn't see no blood. At this point, we were just grid searching. We all had our headlamps on looking for blood, looking for a deer. I finally found him maybe 30 yards after where I lost last sight. And this is him here. Like I said, he's not very big. He's an 8-point, or if you want to call him a 7-point or a 6-point, whatever. I don't know if these brow tines are long enough to count as points. I would consider them an 8-point. But so yeah, we got him out and everything, and took some pictures. And it was a memorable moment because I actually got this with my brother-in-law and niece, so I really enjoyed that. And then the last buck I'm going to talk about is my 2024 PA archery buck. So my 2024 archery buck, me and my buddy Maddie set up my tree stand and everything early season, and then I only hunted 3 times. The first time I hunted, saw nothing, and then I ended up adjusting my scope with my crossbow, and was out of whack when it came to shooting it. So he resighted it in for me, and then the second hunt I did, I was climbing out of my tree stand, and I had my sling up, my crossbow slung over my shoulder. Well, my leather strap broke, and the crossbow fell down to the bottom of the tree, and I was like, okay, you know, my hunting season's over. But nothing was wrong with the crossbow. Everything was okay. So then November 2nd, I was hunting. It was a cold morning as well. I think it was like in the 20s, and wasn't even in my tree stand. 15 minutes, right at first light, I heard something behind me. I thought it was a person, you know. It was like a couple steps and it would stop, a couple steps and it would stop. Well, the way my tree is, it kind of wires off where my tree stand is, so I can see behind me. And I happened to see it was a deer coming, so I got my crossbow. I flicked off the safe, and when he got past my tree, I saw he was a buck and he was nice. And he stopped and looked at me, and I was like, oh no, you know, he busted me. But then he just kept walking, walked down to where the scrape was, stopped, looked at me, and by this time I had my crossbow up, and I aimed right behind his shoulder and shot. He instantly buck kicked, or mule kicked, whatever, and ran 30 yards, and then whenever he turned, his head was dragging on the ground, so I knew I had a good shot on him. I knew he was going to go down, and he did. I gave him like 30-40 minutes before I went down and got him. And this is the buck here. I had some guy, Meckling Skull Mounts, do this one for me for the European mount. I think he may be bigger than my first buck. He definitely has more mass than my 2015 buck. Very happy to take this. This is my first archery kill, so very, very happy to take this guy. Yeah, so and then as of now, for the rifle season, 2024 rifle season, I got a doe last Thursday, or button buck last Thursday, and I still have one doe tag left, and like I said, there's only 2 days left, so hopefully tomorrow I can fill it, and if I can fill it, it'll be my first time ever getting or tagging out. And honestly, this is my first time ever shooting 2 deer in one season, so I'm very blessed. If you want to, these last 2 bucks, this buck here, and my 2023 rifle buck, I actually have the videos on my channel. Check them out. I don't have the clear kill shots, but I have the footage afterwards. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. I want to try coming up with some kind of more videos like this or something just to try to be more active. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I get some more footage for you for the last 2 days of PA rifle season. Please like and subscribe.